That's key officials of the House of Representatives speaking on the outcome of the executive section held on Wednesday. Of course, our Twitter handle is on the screen. Send in your tweets and we share it with you. Just to take two quick ones. Aminu Momodu says the PDP stalwart is unpatriotic, apparently referring to Senator Owe. And Derek Hezron says he's yet to see the so-called change preached by the APC. And still talking about the budget and, of course, whether the olive branch being waved by the House of Representatives is a sure way towards finding a lasting solution. Joining me now to further take a look at that issue is a member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abubakar Yunusa. He represents Yamatu Debafera constituency in Gombe State. He's of the APC. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Amici.
Initially, the House was insistent on the President assenting to the budget, but suddenly you appear to have found wisdom on the need for dialogue, and you're gradually shifting grounds. What led to this new position of yours? Is it that you're realizing that maybe the public opinion is not in favor of the House and you want to quickly realign your position, or is it born out of patriotic zeal?
Well, I can say both. But the most important thing is let us understand the system. We have in place here in Nigeria what we have a bicameral legislature, meaning we have the Senate and we have the House of Representatives. Now, constitutionally, this chamber of the Senate, they were the one that assumed the position that please, Mr. President, can go ahead. I think during the plenary on Tuesday. The position of the House of Representatives was only taken yesterday after we converted into the executive session. So, being a bicameral in nature, they had their own stand and we had our own stand yesterday that, look, we were riding on the provision of the Constitution that say that whenever there is a dispute between the two chambers, then we will have a joint sitting and then the majority view shall prevail. Now, the House of Representatives were 360 in number, so definitely we outnumbered the senators. So in the event of dispute and we have a joint sitting, the House of Representatives, get an upper hand. Having that in mind, we now say, look, first and foremost, we have to take the national interest above any primordial, interest. So we put the nation first. So to answer your question, it's about patriotism. We now say, okay, this cabal will not continue. And again, we reiterated the fact that there is no official communication from the executive through the normal channel, that's Mr. President. The budget was given to him, he demanded for the details were routed, submitted to him. So all these observations, we were waiting for him to get back to us. Nevertheless, we now resolve, in the national interest, nothing is not doable. After all, we legislate. We have our laws that we can set aside to re-legislate. So we now said, okay, Mr. Speaker, interface, have an audience with Mr. President on a return from his journey. Earlier on, before he left, Mr. Speaker reported to us that Mr. President told him that he will now give out this budget to MDS. Let them look at it, have their own input and get back to him. So before he comes back from China, they will have done whatever. So we say, okay, write on that. On arrival, get him, let him point out the gray areas. Then the areas that are okay, let them go ahead, because we don't want this country to suffer. There are a lot of things contractors have done business.
No, you said the areas that are okay, let him go ahead, and the other that he considers not okay,
let him bring it back to us.
In form of a supplementary budget?
Could it be supplementary, or if it come to us, we will look into our books and we shall definitely
But you expect
find
him to first put his assent to this one?
If he likes, let him send it back to us. If he like assent, so that let the budget, because before he bring it back to us, we don't want any further delay. This country must move forward. So as an interim solution, let him assent the one that he felt is okay. The one that he has problem, let him bring it to us, either by way of supplementary or whatever. We shall find the proper thing to do with it. Our laws are there.
Okay, that's interesting. That shows you're out for dialogue and you're quite showing some commitments towards resolving these issues. But the man we spoke earlier with, Senator Roland Owe, is, of course, a former senator, and made reference to the fact that if the president gets back the budget to the National Assembly, then something is wrong with that budget, that whatever communication that should come from the president must be in form of a supplementary appropriation bill that he must sign or veto, or he can't send the budget back, citing some legal provision saying it's illegal.
That is why we now said, look, let Mr. Speaker meet him. After, or during the meeting or after the meeting, it will become clear for Mr. Speaker, who is representing us there, to know what are the problems. Then he can find a proper acronym, how to name it. It's a matter of nomenclature, whether supplementary, whether using veto, you understand? After discussing with him, knowing
or
the problem.
Or doctrine of necessity.
Or doctrine of necessity.
Just to get it going.
Whatever. So first, let's hear the problem. When we know the problem, then we can appropriate it in its proper framework. And then the most important thing, we must correct it so that we move forward within the shortest possible time.
We heard that some members were not quite comfortable with the processes the appropriation committee went through in coming up with this budget during the executive session. Is the House trying to take a stock of how that process went with a view to improving on it in the future?
No, actually, we have these discordant voices. Majority of chairmen, which I'm one of them, and the deputies, we felt what we did at the committee level, after presenting and defending it in front of the appropriation committee, which is the normal thing. Now, the appropriation committee, when they come to finalize and compile everything, which is their job, a lot of us feel we were shortchanged. What I mean by shortchanging, most of the decisions taken at the committee level were not properly articulated. So that's why, and after after whatever the appropriation did, the chairmen are supposed to be called. If anything is there, you should be carried along. None of us were carried along. As of yesterday, the copy of the corrected or final copy that was sent, even the so-called detail to Mr. President, no chairman is privy to it. And that is our grudges. Now that this thing came up like that, how do I defend what I have in a committee?
The final copy should have been perused by
the chairman of the committee.
Or at least the entire appropriation committee before it is sent out.
It is sent out, so that at least we know what is going out.
Okay, let's take some tweets now. Alade Kazim Bello says, it seems the Senate is belligerent and insensitive to public feeling when the reps are truly representatives of the people. And Agono Sunday tweets and says, the move of the House is laudable. The Senate should continue to dance naked. The President should assent, except it is corrected. Of course, the Senate still insisting that the President must sign. You appear to be towing a not very conservative line, but the Senate is on the other side. Is there a meeting point here? Because you must be on the same page, the House of Representatives and the Senate, as far as the 2016 appropriation bill, that is past budget, is concerned.
Definitely, I'm telling you, because that was the position of the Senate as of Tuesday. When we now met and we took, like you said, a laissez-faire kind of position, Mr. Speaker will meet with the Senate President, and the two chairmen of the appropriation committees will now, and we have been talking. Right now that I'm talking here on air, they are trying to have a middle way. And definitely the middle way is
to harmonize
the positions, the two positions. And definitely they concur with us. Because like I told you, even if they differ, the decision of the House of Representatives shall prevail. So definitely, and that's why even in this budget, ab initio, you see the two houses joining. So at the committee level, we harmonize with the senators. And definitely, majority, like in my own committee, whatever I did, the senator concur. And we move ahead. So in all the committees for the MDA, that was also done. So that's why at the end of the day, the appropriation of the Senate and the appropriation of the House of Representatives harmonized. But like I said, there are human error, of which our own appropriation chairman came in yesterday. We really boxed him, and he really apologized. So
that he didn't get some things right.
He didn't.
At
Yes,
the tail
yes.
end.
So he apologized. We say, okay, at least to err is human, to forgive is divine. Since we are having, maybe it is God's intervention that we are having this squabble, so that we'll have a resent of the budget, so that the right thing can be done.
Okay, that's interesting. But from the disposition of the members of the House, there's a very strong likelihood that that Calabar Lagos rail line will be restored.
Definitely. You see, let me clear further. This issue of Lagos Calabar, the first document that Mr. President laid, you remember when we were talking about the missing budget, then later on, the second, what do you call it? The corrected version came in. The first and the second, whether corrected or not corrected, this Lagos Calabar is not there. But graciously, the Minister of Transport.
But what we are told was that there was an understanding with the minister.
I will explain.
Who,
I will explain to you. I will explain. The minister approached the committee during defense. That is after we done the first, the second reading of the corrected version, and it has been committed to committee. So during defense, you can see that the document submitted by Mr. President in the name of budget has undergone some stages. Now, at the committee level, the Honorable Minister approached with this request and is allowed. Then we now look at it, the committee look at it, the committee of, do you call it, land transport. So which railway is there? So they look at it. They now agree and consider that this is a most viable project and it's a doable. They include it. Mark that since this was not initially inside this budget, it will increase the figure. When this budget was all compiled, even before we were to pass it on the 17th of March, we discovered that the budget has been bloated. I mean, it has been increased by at least $250 billion, about 250 billion. As usual, our leaders, Speaker, Senate President, and whoever they are, they met Mr. President. This is the scenario. They cited this example and so many others. A lot of other ministers came in with their request. So this is what's there. Can we have fund, Mr. President? Can we go ahead and pass this budget?
Does he have can he guarantee funding?
Can he guarantee funding? Mr. President says, no, I cannot guarantee. Even that one that I did, we have to do borrowing. So this is now an additional luggage. So please go in your own wisdom, see how you can maintain the earlier submission. So definitely any other addition should go. So the Lagos Calabar Railway and so many others form part of that 250 billion. And we even go further to reduce, considering the effect of
the constituency projects that were not part of the budget that was also included by the member. Did you ask the president whether he can guarantee funding?
No. Point of correction. We don't call them constituency project. I have 2-3 corrections there. Number one, we call them zonal intervention. And it has been the practice since 1999. Now, 2016 wouldn't be different. Considering the fact that the legislator, that is the Senate and the House of Representatives, that is where you found more symbol of symbol of democracy. So in the executive arm of government, except the president and the vice president, the ministers were not elected by people. They were appointed by Mr. President. Everybody in this chamber, in the Senate or in the House of is represented. We must have done 1 or 2 promises. We are more aware and acquainted with our constituencies. So the executive cannot just say, okay, my constituency need water, whereas I have the River Gongola, the Upper Benue, water is not my problem. Some other things could be my need. So I should be consulted.
Whatever, yes.
Now, whatever, I'm coming. Please, let me hit your point. Now, before Mr. President even submitted budget, we now approach him with this zonal intervention. Minister of Finance, she is there to bear us witness if Mr. President is in China, but he too is coming. We confronted him that this is it. We now agree. The figure we demanded, considering the circumstances, it was slashed to 60 billion. So each zone should be allocated 10 billion so that the members now can analyze and then see, okay, this is what I want in my project. Then it will be put inside the budget and then the MDA do. So that 60 billion has been agreed and negotiated with Mr. President, with his Minister of Finance, and it was in the first submission earlier on.
Now, are you surprised that the presidency is now alleging, because that was what we got from the media, that it was introduced into the budget by the lawmakers?
Mr. Amechi, I want the public to understand that whatever we are saying about the budget regarding what we submitted is mere speculation. You heard it from Mr. Speaker, you heard it from the mouthpiece of the House of Representatives, that is Honorable Namdas, that no any official communication from the executive to state that this is the problem. So we are waiting for them. All this are speculation. Answers, I mean, we cannot substantiate it. So whatever it is there, when Mr. President comes, we will know the true picture of this. But for now, they are all speculative. And I am telling you...
Of course, most of what we have read was reference to sources close to the presidency. No official confirmation yet.
No official confirmation yet. But whatever it is, we all agree there is a problem. And we will remedy it. Because when we interface, for the first time after the budget, we boxed the House appropriation chairman, and he told a lot of things which we discovered there are problems. Because when people were talking, we were asking ourselves, as far as my committee is concerned, I don't have a problem. How comes I have? In fact, my own agency called me that they were also shortchanged. I was taken aback. So until yesterday, we were taken, and then we all now, then we now resolve. We must correct it. You can see that's where the patriotism
and avoid. Of course, the good thing is that you have already identified the problems therein, and you have also shown commitment towards avoiding such problems in future.
Avoid in future.
Okay, that's a very good one. Some tweet now. Usman Albani says, let our representatives remember Nigerians are hungry. Please do what is right and quarrel on the matter. That's referring to the budget much later. Bode Alawode says, truth is unveiling. Even committee chairman disagree. Of course, we disagree to agree, and you can't find it in any other place other than the House of Representatives. It is a forum for dialogue, exchange of ideas, different interests, but effort should be made to harmonize them. We've had a member of the House of Representatives, Abubakar Yunusa, talking on the budget crisis and efforts by the House and indeed the National Assembly to resolve the many problems stopping that budget from being assented to by the President and actual implementation commencing. But the good news is that commitment from both chambers to correcting the issue and, of course, dialoguing with the President on a way out. Thanks so much for joining us on the program. My name is Amechi Anafwe. Thanks for being part of it. We'll be here on Friday with another edition.